the Miami Dolphins selected Jaylen Wright with the 120th overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. In this video, I'll tell you why they made an excellent choice. Stay tuned for my reaction and analysis. Now, the Dolphins were without a third or fourth round pick in the 2024 draft. The Dolphins decided to make a trade with the Philadelphia Eagles to give up a third round pick in the 2025 draft in order to make a selection in the fourth round this year. A lot of people scoffed at the trade, but I actually liked the trade. The Dolphins are giving up a third round pick that could be possibly at the end of the third round for a middle of the round fourth round pick, which isn't so bad because you're talking about maybe a 10 to 15 spot difference. And for them to trade that to get the player that they really wanted, I have no problems with that. So the Dolphins ended up using that pick in order to select Jaylen Wright, the running back from the University of Tennessee. And Jaylen Wright's a big guy. He's about 5'11", 210, bigger than some of the running backs in the Miami Dolphins squad at least. And he also runs the 40 in 4.38 seconds. He has an incredible burst. He has an ability to make really sharp cuts, and he has the ability to stay on his feet and make people miss. Those skills will be important for him as he runs the Miami Dolphins wide zone scheme. Now, a lot of Dolphin fans are thinking, well, why did they select another running back? They have enough running backs on the roster. The Miami Dolphins currently have Raheem Mostert, Devon, Achane, Jeff Wilson, Salvon Ahmed, and Chris Brooks currently signed to the team. In the event that Raheem Mostert or Devon Achane gets hurt, they'll be able to put another guy in the game that can do some of the same things. Now, the Dolphins may have had more pressing needs like offensive line, maybe even safety, but they decided to go with a guy that Mike McDaniel most likely was very convicted of. And, Mike McDaniel had a lot of success last year selecting Devon Achane in the third round. So I'll put a little bit of faith that Mike McDaniel and the coaching staff all got together in order to make this choice. And from what I've seen on film, even though there's some concerns about how well he was able to read blocks and run in traffic at the line of scrimmage because he often faced light boxes, I do believe that his skill set and his overall ability, he was, I think, in the 97th or the 98th percentile in terms of RAS, the relative athletic score. He seems to be a guy that has a lot of potential. He has a lot of production. And most importantly, he fits the scheme that the Miami Dolphins want to run. The most productive formation for the Dolphins last season, at least the most efficient, was when they ran the two running backfield in the offense. So often they ran 21 personnel, and they decided that they wanted two halfbacks or two tailbacks in the backfield at the same time. Oftentimes that was Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane. But when they were together in the backfield and either one of them was split out or the other one was put in motion, they were able to spread the field out using that speed in order to push the defenders back a little bit further to clear out some room underneath. And this is something that they could also do with Jaylen Wright. Jaylen Wright is a very adept pass catcher out of the backfield, and that should bode well for the Dolphins to incorporate their running backs in the passing game. The big concern as it relates to the Miami Dolphins backfield this year will be, well, how much playing time will Jaylen Wright get in a crowded backfield? And it's very possible that due to injuries that Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane sustained last season, it's possible that he might be called into duty this season. And also, Raheem Mostert is 32 years old. He has only $1 million left on his contract next year in terms of guaranteed money. So his spot on the team isn't necessarily guaranteed. And even though he's been relatively healthy for the Miami Dolphins for the last two seasons, the fact is that Raheem Mostert has a career that's filled with a long injury history. Now, looking at the film, one of the things that really stand out about Jaylen Wright is his ability to keep his balance. His body control and body balance is extremely high. He has the ability to maintain balance when people contact him in the backfield or contact him on the second level. He also has the ability to break tackles once guys try to tackle him at his ankles or at his lower parts of his leg. He has the ability to get those legs up, keep them up, and break tackles as he moves forward. Another thing you notice about Jaylen Wright on film is his long speed. He has the ability to break away from the secondary and run for long touchdowns. And that's something, Mike McDaniel covets in his offensive players. He likes guys that can not only run behind the defense, but run past the defense if they need to. And Jaylen Wright seems to be that kind of guy. Very rarely on film do you see him getting caught from behind. A testament to that 4.38 40 time speed in real time. And that way, he has the ability to make great plays, but also make spectacular plays as well. Another thing I see on film is his ability to break ankle tackles. Oftentimes, you see people in the NFL get tackled with shoelace tackles and tripping up their ankles and getting the ball carriers to the ground. But on film, Jaylen Wright seems to make a lot of people miss who attempt to try to tackle him by his ankles. And that's part of the reason why he gets so many long runs. Jaylen Wright is not just a speed burner guy who wants to avoid contact. On the contrary, he's a guy who not only engages contact, but he doesn't shy away from it at all. And that makes him a tough back. Now, does that mean that he'll be good for short yardage? It's hard to say. The Dolphins still have Chris Brooks on the roster, and he could be the primary short distance goal line kind of back. But Jaylen Wright, if he's in the game, he's not a guy I think Mike McDaniel would hesitate to give him the ball in those situations. Now, what does the Jaylen Wright acquisition mean for the rest of the running back room? It's really hard to say at this point, but the most obvious candidates seem to be Salvon Ahmed and Jeff Wilson Jr. Those are probably the two candidates that's most likely going to be affected by the Jaylen Wright selection. And if those guys are somehow released or they don't make it to the 53, it's very likely that at least Salvon Ahmed may be brought to the practice squad. Jeff Wilson is likely to find an opportunity somewhere else in the NFL. But either way, the Dolphins running back room just got stronger by acquiring Jaylen Wright within the 4th round of the 2024 draft. Some folks were asking, is it possible that Devon Achane may get more work in the receiving game, maybe even as a slot receiver, now that Jaylen Wright is on the team? And I think it's possible. I don't think the Dolphins properly used Devon Achane in the passing game last season. There were a couple of games, especially against Washington last season, where Devon Achane went into motion and lined up out wide. And once the ball was snapped, there was so much attention given to Tyreek Hill that Devon Achane was left alone by himself, about 10 yards away from the nearest defender. So I'm not sure if the Dolphins scouting staff saw those opportunities that were available, but perhaps having had the off season to look at that information, maybe they're figuring out, hey, there's an opportunity there that we missed last season. We can get Devon Achane more involved in the passing game, and maybe this selection in the 4th round of Jaylen Wright confirms that. Now, I'm very curious to see how Jaylen Wright performs in OTAs, training camp, and in the preseason. But last season, from my recollection, there was no way to tell during the offseason whether Devon Achane was going to be the explosive and dynamic runner he was. Yes, there was film on him at Texas A&M that showed him and his ability to make people miss in the hole, and his subtle movements and his ability to break tackles were on full display. But to actually see it in the regular season translate in the NFL, on an NFL field, that's just incredible to witness. And as a matter of fact, I think he started the regular season, the first 2 games. He might have been out for the first 2 games. I think he didn't make his debut until week 3 against the Broncos. He was just off and running. He went on to average 7.8 yards per carry on the season, which led the NFL with a minimum of 100 carries. Devon Achane really is a guy who was more explosive than even I could have imagined, and I'm sure most people feel the same way. So overall, I'm very happy with the selection. I know there were some people out there who felt that there were better players that were available for the Dolphins to select, and that's almost the case in any draft, at any round that you're drafting. But I have a strong feeling, and maybe because of how it turned out with Devon Achane last year, but I have a very strong feeling that Jaylen Wright is going to be up to the task, and he's going to really put on a show in the regular season when his time comes. Hey guys, thanks for watching, and be sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you in the next video.